They dismissed him as just a help, never imagining that the quiet black man they overlooked was the mastermind behind the security system safeguarding their entire company. But when the truth was finally revealed, their world turned upside down. What happened next will leave you speechless. James, a soft-spoken black man in his early 30s, entered the sleek glass and steel headquarters of Sentinel Systems. With a toolbox in hand and an air of quiet determination, he blended seamlessly into the background. His plain navy blue uniform, embroidered with the company logo, marked him as maintenance staff, a role people often ignored. This wasn't an accident. James had deliberately chosen to go undercover in his own company. To the employees bustling through the halls, he was just another worker. They barely glanced at him, too busy navigating their own corporate lives in tailored suits and polished shoes. James noticed the smirks and the dismissive glances. Occasionally, he overheard whispers questioning his skills or mocking the simplicity of his job. Yet none of them realized that James wasn't just a maintenance worker. He was the brilliant mind behind Sentinel Systems' cutting-edge security platform, a system so advanced it was praised across industries for its ability to detect threats, predict breaches, and safeguard sensitive data. Sentinel Systems owed much of its multi-million-dollar success to James's work. But James didn't crave recognition or accolades. He wanted to see how his creation functioned in real-world scenarios. More importantly, he wanted to understand the human element, the flaws and vulnerabilities of the very people who relied on his system daily. So, James went undercover, taking a job on the lowest rung of the corporate ladder. For the first few days, he faced subtle insults and condescension. Employees gave him curt instructions, assuming he lacked basic skills or ignored him altogether. James didn't react. Instead, he quietly observed everything: their behaviors, their interactions, and how they used the security system he had meticulously designed. What James discovered was eye-opening. Employees often dismissed minor system alerts, bypassed protocols for convenience, and ignored issues flagged by the system. But beyond these inefficiencies, James noticed something far more troubling. Certain employees exhibited suspicious behavior, accessing restricted areas at odd hours, bypassing security features, and behaving in ways that suggested something bigger was at play. Unbeknownst to his co-workers, James began conducting his own silent investigation. As the architect of Sentinel's security platform, he had built features into the system that few people knew about. Among them was an advanced surveillance and behavior analysis module capable of tracking patterns and identifying internal threats. With a few keystrokes, James activated these features, logging unusual activities and gathering evidence. While James quietly worked behind the scenes, the office buzzed with rumors. Some employees speculated about his background, questioning why someone with his skills would settle for a maintenance role. Others gossiped openly, their whispers filled with suspicion and baseless accusations. James became the center of their speculation, but he didn't let it distract him. He knew the truth would surface in time. One Monday morning, the usual hum of the office was replaced by a tense quiet. Employees shuffled into the conference room, their expressions uneasy. At the front stood Mr. Thompson, the director of operations, his face grim. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious problem," he began. "Over the past few weeks, several high-value assets have gone missing. This threatens not only our operations, but also our reputation. We need answers, and we need them now." The room fell silent, the weight of his words settling over the employees. Nervous glances darted around the room, each person silently wondering if they were under suspicion. Todd, a senior project manager known for his arrogance, leaned back in his chair with a smug expression. "Maybe we should start with the obvious," he said, gesturing toward James. "The new guy is always wandering around with tools. Who knows what he's really up to?" All eyes turned to James. The tension in the room was palpable. James, however, remained calm. He met Todd's gaze steadily and replied in a measured tone, "I only do what I'm asked. Nothing more, nothing less." Todd's accusation hung in the air, planting seeds of doubt. Whispers spread through the room, and though no one openly agreed with Todd, the suspicion was evident. James quietly left the meeting, his composure unshaken. Behind him, the gossip intensified. Every move he made, every trip to the storage room, every glance at a workstation was scrutinized. Yet James continued his work, focused and unbothered. As the office descended into a storm of speculation, James's investigation deepened. The data he collected began to reveal a troubling pattern. Employees who appeared above suspicion were accessing restricted areas, manipulating logs, and tampering with equipment. It was clear to James that the thefts were an inside job, orchestrated by individuals who thought they were untouchable. By the end of the week, the tension reached its peak. Mr. Thompson convened another meeting, this time to review security footage. As the first clip played on the screen, the room grew silent. The grainy footage showed Todd and two other senior employees sneaking into restricted areas, using stolen access cards to steal expensive equipment. Their actions were deliberate and brazen, leaving no room for doubt. A collective gasp echoed through the room. Todd, who had been lounging confidently just moments earlier, turned pale. This can't be right. He stammered, the footage must be fake. Mr. Thompson silenced him with a sharp look. The system doesn't lie, he said firmly. The timestamps match access logs perfectly. The employees turned their attention to James. Slowly, he stood, his presence commanding the room. You all assumed I was just a handyman, he began, his voice steady. You dismissed me without a second thought, but I built this system. Every line of code, every safeguard, every fail-safe, it's my work. And I designed it to protect companies from exactly this kind of betrayal. The room was filled with a mix of awe and embarrassment. Mr. Thompson ordered security to escort Todd and his accomplices out of the building, promising legal consequences. Later that day, he called James into his office. I owe you an apology, Mr. Thompson said. And an explanation. Why didn't you tell us who you were? James smiled faintly. I wanted to see how the system worked under pressure, without anyone knowing I was involved. But I didn't expect the test to reveal so much. Impressed by James's brilliance, Mr. Thompson offered him a leadership position, ensuring his talents would no longer be overlooked. In the weeks that followed, the company underwent a transformation. Employees reflected on their biases, realizing how they had underestimated James. Now in a senior role, James worked to foster a culture of fairness and transparency, ensuring no one else would have to endure what he did. Through it all, James proved one undeniable truth. Real power lies not in titles but in resilience, integrity, and skill. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon so you never miss an update.